Good morning. Sometimes when somebody tells you something that seems impossible, it's pretty hard to believe that it's true, right? Like, for example, if I told you that I could connect these two paper clips without even touching them. What do you think? Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Maybe you have a hard time believing that I can do this. That's called doubt, which basically means that you are uncertain. You are uncertain that I can join these two paper clips without even touching them. So how about I show you that I can do it? First, I'm going to clip them to this $5 bill. Then I pull on the edges. Ta-da! Connected! And I didn't even touch them. Now you know that what I said was true. Now your doubts are gone because I showed you how they could be true. Have you ever doubted God? Have you ever struggled to believe something that you heard about or read about in the Bible? Or maybe something that you knew to be true seems a bit harder to understand. Some people feel uncomfortable or nervous to ask questions when they don't understand something about God. Having questions or being uncertain about God doesn't mean that you are losing your faith or that you don't love God enough. Asking questions when you don't understand something is a really important part of growing. Just like if you were in math class and you didn't understand something, you wouldn't ask the teacher to explain it to you. Or if your parents used a word that you didn't understand, you would not think twice about asking them what they mean. So why should asking questions about God, big or small, be any different? You know, there are several stories in the Bible that I can think of where people with huge faith had doubts. There's a famous guy who even now has a nickname of being doubtful. We refer to him as Doubting Thomas, which is a shame, really, because Thomas had great faith. He was one of Jesus' disciples, and he spent time following Jesus and helping to develop his ministry. But when Jesus was crucified and rose again and appeared to the disciples, Thomas wasn't there. And when the disciples told Thomas about it, he didn't believe them. He said, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands and touch his side, I will not believe." So, a week later, all of the disciples, including Thomas this time, were in a room that was all locked up, and Jesus appeared to them again. Now, Jesus greeted them with, "Peace be with you," and he knew that Thomas had doubts. So Jesus let Thomas touch his hands and put his hands on his side. And as soon as Thomas did this, he realized that it was Jesus. And he said, "Jesus, my Lord and my God." And after that, Thomas's faith was even stronger. He just needed some reassurance. Here's another story about people with huge faith and commitment to God having doubts. Remember Abraham and Sarah? Abraham and Sarah were a married couple who lived all the way back in Genesis. And they followed God faithfully and all through difficult times. But when God told them that they would have a baby, both Abraham and Sarah laughed right at God. The Bible says that Abraham fell down laughing, but Sarah tried to hide it. Of course, God knew anyway. "We're too old to have a baby," they each told God. But they did have a baby, even though they were old. And when Sarah gave birth to a baby boy, both her and Abraham's faith strengthened. They knew that their baby had come from God's promise, even though they had doubted God at first. There are other stories like this in the Bible of people who had trusted and followed God and then at some point doubted what they had heard could be true. And yet each time, when God would show them how he was to be trusted, their faith would grow even stronger. The same is true for us. We might have doubts. There are things that we might not understand very well. But if you are struggling with believing or understanding something, don't take it as a sign of weak faith or that you don't love God enough. Instead, find an adult to talk to. Ask questions, because of all of the things that the stories of Thomas or Abraham and Sarah can teach us, one thing is that if given a chance, the understanding that comes after doubt builds stronger faith. This week, if you don't understand something at school, ask a teacher. And if you don't understand something about the Bible, ask your parent or reach out to someone who might be able to help you understand. Because if you turn your doubt into silence, you might never understand. But if you turn your doubt into learning, then you will see how your faith can grow and become stronger.